What is going on? I'm back down the unit and I'm working on the extra van again. So if I just chip away at it, you know, do a little bit each week, eventually it'll be done. I'm sure you've read the title. Yes, I've bought a new turbo for my van. Let me show you. This is a Pulsar turbo. They're alright. If anyone doesn't know Pulsar, they come straight from China. But they're actually a decent built unit. This is a, can't remember what I bought now, 3942G. So basically this is designed to go on an engine from 800cc up to 2 litre, and it is rated for 300 horsepower. Now, I know I said I had a max speed in GT28 frame turbo, and I do. I'll show you, it's still here. They donated me this for my build, but it's a journal bearing turbo. It's got a cast wheel in it. No, it's got a billet wheel in it, I think, or a painted cast one more than likely. I don't know. It's a very, very cheap turbo, but I mapped a Zetec turbo probably about a year or so ago, and it had that exact same turbo on it. It made really good power, well, for what the guy wanted anyway. I'm sure it did like 260 horsepower, something like that. But I seem to remember on the dyno, the turbo was really, really laggy, and it come in with a massive punch of power. And it was absolutely undrivable, and the guy didn't like it at all. Like, he just wasn't happy with the way it drove. Obviously, there's nothing I could do mapping wise. You know, the turbo's going to spool when the turbo's going to spool, really. And that was always playing on the back of my mind, and I was thinking, do I get a new turbo? And then there was a comment, this comment, I'll try to chuck it down here, and they said exactly the same. They said that the turbo's laggy. They said it comes in with such a punch that they're just not great turbos. So rather than go and spend thousands and thousands of pounds on like a Garrett unit or like a Turbo Smart unit or something like that, because let's face it, it is just an old Renault van at the end of the day, I thought I'd go for something semi-branded, and also obviously I'm a Pulsar dealer as well, so that helps. So that's why I went for this. It's rated for 300 horsepower, as I said. It's internally gated. I was too tight to go for the billet actuator, so I just went for the pressed steel one. Now it's got a base pressure of about 14 psi apparently, so near enough a bar. It's internally gated. It's exactly the same as the same sort of framed as the max speeding turbo, so hopefully it should fit without too much trouble. But yeah, I like it, and it's a proper ball bearing turbo as well, and it's got a billet wheel in it, so yeah, I'm happy with that. Right, let's crack on. I rebuilt the drive shaft, by the way. I didn't bother with the outer gator. I just popped off that joint, put a new boot on it, packed it full of grease, and it was all right. I was going to rebuild the one this end because it was leaking gearbox oil. It was. It was leaking gearbox oil sort of from round here on the old gearbox. But these have got like a 3-bolt sort of boot, and I thought the boot was split. But then when I took the shaft out, I realised that 2 of the holes in the old gearbox were threaded, so there was literally 1 bolt holding it in, and that weren't too great either. So that's why it leaked out, and the boot actually looked all right, so I put that shaft back in. But yeah, I'm going to put this shaft in now. So I did some of the odd jobs. I put the new front engine mount on that was broken, fitted that, put the drive shaft in, put all the caliper back on, put the hub nut bolt on, tightened it all up, put the caliper, everything's done this side. I took the drain plug out the gearbox, and I've got a load of gloopy, oily water that came out, so I'm just gonna leave that dry, draining like all week, I think. It wasn't rusty though. It was still oily, but it was like murky. You know, when that oil that sort of Subaru head gasket kind of mix. It's kind of like that. So yeah, I'm gonna leave that draining all week. Give it its fighting chance of survival, you know. If I leave the top up plug out, hopefully any moisture will like evaporate, and then I can just put fresh oil in there, and I'm sure it'll be mint. Right, let's crack on. So, gear linkage is back on. What else did I do? Oh, I reconnected the steering rack. I need to put the little plastic cover that goes around here. Covers up that joint, stops any dirt and grime getting to it. But what I do want to do is let the ramp down, and I want to fit the exhaust manifold and the inlet manifold, and I want to try and offer up my new turbo. So that's what I'm going to do next. Oh yeah. It's looking alright. It's looking alright. It's getting there. Got the exhaust manifold on, gave it a little clean up, just a bit of sandpaper, new gasket, obviously I had all new studs and bolts that I'd already put in, covered the rocker cover in greasy handprints. I thought it was going to be a nightmare to put it all on in the bay, but it was absolutely easy as pie. I took it all off before I stripped the engine out, so I knew it was easy to get on and off whilst in the hole. But yeah, it's all right, it's all tight, it's all in. Ooh, very nice. Next, I want to try my turbo. It's all right. It fits okay. Look at that. Oh yeah. I need to loosen off all the core bolts and like twist the core around. I thought I was gonna have like aggravation with like the actuator and stuff like this, because normally you have to like, you know, move it all about and try and get it to sort of line up a different way. But the way it looks, it's actually all right. The actuator bracket on this is massively elongated as well. So if I wanted to twist the core this way, I can. In fact, let me loosen it off and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm gonna try and balance the camera and show you what I mean. Obviously I'm professional as always, top YouTuber. So I've loosened off the 4 core bolts around here, and I've just literally loosened these 2 on the bracket. So now I can twist the core around and the actuator stays in line with the wastegate arm. Oh, might need to loosen that off a little bit more. Like that, I think. Yeah, that'll do. Right, tighten all that lot up there. Boost pipe's coming out of a better angle. All drained straight down now. Oh, I need to work out what oil line I need while I'm here. Right, I'm gonna do that. Everything's all tightened up now, all where it needs to be. Still rotates, which is handy. I did contemplate changing the exhaust manifold because I've got the standard cast Renault 5 GT Turbo one on there. But I didn't want to lose the sound that the Renault 5s make. You know, they've sort of got that slightly misfirey flat 4 kind of sound. And I've heard Renault 5 turbos with that manifold, with this manifold gone. And when they put like an equal length stainless steel jobby on there, they sound great, and obviously they probably perform a lot better. But they just lose that sound, and I kind of want to relive my youth, because I remember like Renault 5s driving around and the noise they made was awesome. So I've kept that exhaust manifold for that reason only, that and I'm being a bit tight. But yeah, turbo's on. Just need to crack on now, start bolting stuff on really, don't I? But yeah, you know what it's like putting an engine in. Right, let's start bolting more stuff on then. So I did get an oil fitting with the turbo, but annoyingly it's not the right one. I've worked out this smaller turbo is an M10x1 thread, so I've ordered an M10x1 to AN3 converter off the internet. So I'm gonna have to wait for that to turn up now. I fitted the oil drain, which was just literally like a little bolt-on spigot. I had to take the turbo off again. I've took all the bolts out, so it's all loose again. So yeah, I've made a little note of some pipes I need to order for the oil drain. So I'm gonna order them next week, and I need to work out the thread size of. So on the Renault 5s, the oil feed to the standard turbo has like this. It has like an oil pressure sensor in the bottom. It's a bit old school, I'm not going to use that. And obviously just the pressure light for the pressure sensor for the light on the dash. This little fitting bolts here like that. So what I've done is I've taken it off, obviously. I'm going to get some new copper washers for it. I've got the banjo bolt there. I'm going to work out what the thread size is in there, but I've brought my tap set with me, but the taps don't go big enough to work out what that is. So I'm going to take it to work, so I've got some bigger taps there, and then I'm going to work out what the thread size is on that fitting, and then I can get hopefully an adapter from that to AN3, and then obviously the new fitting I've ordered for the top of the turbo can make up a little line, and that'll be the oil feed and the oil drain done. So yeah, tedious little bits, but we're getting there, It's definitely moved forward rather than backwards. So yeah, right, I'm going home. Bye. And just like that, it's a week later. I've been on the spend. I've spent some money, not too much money. So it turned out the standard Renault 5 oil feed thing, so the standard oil pipe would bolt on here. This was an M14 by 1.5. I couldn't find an M14 by 1.5 to AN3 adapter. It was a bit odd. So I got an M14 by 1.5 to AN6 adapter, and then I've got an AN6 to AN3 adapter. So I need to renew these copper washers. I've just bolted this on hand tight just to eyeball everything up. So now I've got oil will come up here, And then I've got the right fitting for the top of my turbo. This turned out to be an M10x1. I do need to put a copper washer under it though, because it bottoms out. But the top of the turbo is flat, so it will seal in there quite nice. I don't know whether I need to, well, I know I need to buy two AN390s and some high pressure hose to make a pipe up. But I don't know whether to just 90 off there, run the pipe through there, through that little gap, and then onto the top of the turbo. Or what I might do is bring it round here and then round that way, just to keep it away from everything. I don't know. I'm going to buy some more fittings. I'll buy some line, I'll fit it all up, and then I'll just see how it starts panning out. Oil drain, bit of an issue. This is the standard Renault 5 turbo oil drain, but the more I look at it, the more I realise that someone's used an old coolant hose. They obviously had a problem, and they've just found this and used it to get them out of trouble. So although it does fit onto my drain, and it will probably work, probably, bit of a tongue twister, for me anyway. I do need to renew that, because obviously a coolant hose with oil going through it is not ideal. So I need to get on the hunt for that. Not even too sure what size that is, but I'm sure I can find something and make it work. I want to try and eyeball my intercooler. I've got like a Chinese twin pass one, and I've got some boost hoses as well. So I'm going to just eyeball it up and see how it sits in the bay, because I've got a Renault 5 turbo rad, although it does leak. But I would like to use it. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do next. 5 turbo.
Yeah. And in the top, it's got a bleed. The little pipe is on the top hose.
Yeah.
But then it's got one underneath that goes.
I see.
I didn't know.
So basically, I've come to the conclusion that my cheap Chinese twin pass intercooler is not going to fit too great. Or it will fit. We could make it fit, but I'm not going to. I've clicked a Renault 5 GT Turbo Rad in, and that fits quite nicely. I think I can get away with reusing some of the bottom water hoses and maybe get a Renault 5 top. But I do need to get a new rad, because I've broke the fitting off the top of this trying to pull the pipe off. It's cracked around there, and it's got a hole in the bottom of the core. But for mocking purposes, this is fine. All the little rubber boost hoses I've got are not going to fit, because obviously I've got the Z-Tech throttle body here, so I'm going to have to get a downsized pipe for that. And obviously I've got the aftermarket Pulsar turbo, so that's not going to fit. So from what I'm thinking I'm going to do is, if I can find, because there's quite a bit of room between this grille and the rad, if I can get a small alloy intercooler to tuck in there behind the grille, and then I can just tick some 90s on it, and then I can just run a boost pipe across here. Obviously I need to get the water pump on first here at eyeballs, maybe tight round here and down, and then the outlet of the turbo, just a 90 and straight onto a core, if I can get it over that way. So I need to have a Google and see if I can find out what sort of intercooler will fit in that gap. What do you reckon, Ollie?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the Chinese alley intercooler I was talking about. It's a double core one, but I don't overly like it because the little divider inside isn't welded all the way around. So I know from experience it's going to cause me issues. Oh, wedge that in there. But it just doesn't really sit too nice in the hole. I don't know if the van's slightly smaller or what. See, I've got to run the Renault 5 Turbo Rad just because of the oil cooler pipes obviously built into the Rad. I could run an aftermarket cooler and then use my own Rad, like the van Rad, but it's bigger and it won't give me the room. So I'm going to fit this Rad, or a new one of this Rad, and then just make an intercooler fit. But don't think I quite like how that all sits in the hole. It doesn't line up very well, does it? You're trying to figure out how it sits, aren't you? From pictures on Google.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I need to find an alley intercooler that will tuck in the gap. I'm sure my mate had a Starlet years ago, and when we put a big front mount on that, didn't we? He had like a custom made front mount that was on it. It was a bit tough. It was a really small intercooler, and it worked. But he upgraded to a proper front mount, and I'm sure I've still got his little skinny intercooler in my... See, that looks nice. Whose bay is that? Show me that. That's what I want to do. Exactly that. Oh, I could even run the boost pipe across the top like he's done then. Yeah. If there's room for it. Yeah, that could work. What intercooler has he got? Email him. Who is he? Ring him. Ask him. I think it'll look quite nice as well. Just see behind the grille, you see like a nice alley intercooler, so it'd be a little bit of a sleeper. I could probably even shift the Rad over a bit if I haven't got enough room over that side. Saying that though, that's just a plastic. Let me get in here. Yep. This is just a plastic guard, so I can take that out anyway and get more room if need be. Yeah. All right. I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to have a Google, see if I can find an intercooler that fits in that slot, and probably buy 3 wrong intercoolers to sit on the shelf. So yeah, I'm going to call it a day. Hope you like this video. Cheers guys, like, share, subscribe. Bye.